Hi, today we're going to discuss the little bit of chemistry that we need to start off our course in biology. We have four major macromolecules that are going to be reoccurring as we go through the year. And so I'm just going to give you a little foundational knowledge about them, not much, that you can carry with you whenever we bring them up again. You will have heard of them and you'll know a basic amount of information about them. So this is a little bit of chemistry, and we're not going to go very deep, but I do want you to have just a nice understanding that there are four major macromolecules, and we need to know the names of them, what they're basically made out of, and what purpose they serve as we go through biology. So you can make yourself a little chart in your notebook that you'll have as a reference as we go through the year. Okay, and I'll try to give you some guidelines on what maybe that chart should look like. So of the four, one of them actually is what I would consider the basic molecule of life. It is found in all living organisms, and its pattern is relatively similar. So it's nice to be able to see it kind of woven through life, and that is nucleic acid. And the one that we're most familiar with is DNA. That stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So nucleic acid's actually in the name. So DNA is, like I said, the basic molecule of life. If it's alive, it has DNA. Okay, and so there is another one besides DNA in the nucleic acids, also RNA, and there's multiple types of RNA. We will get into that shortly. But DNA is made out of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphate. And those are the five elements that make up DNA, RNA, nucleic acids. Okay, and we'll get into more of the building blocks of them later. You can find DNA in anything that's a living substance. So if you were looking for DNA somewhere, it would be in anything that you eat. So plants, meat, it would be in fungus, anything that's living. Bacteria have DNA, everything has DNA. So that's where you would find a nucleic acid. The second one spins right off of DNA. Nucleic acids actually have the blueprint to produce something called proteins. Proteins are the workhorses of biology. They literally do everything. They do anything from building things to providing energy for things to making reactions happen, carrying things. They provide movement. Proteins do it all. Okay, proteins are made also of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. We will find even nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur in proteins. So proteins actually are made up of a lot of different elements. Notice that you're going to notice the base of all of these elements are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Those three, CHO. Okay. And so proteins, of course, you know that there's proteins found in meat, like meat, eggs, beans. You know where to find proteins in your nutritional diet. But really what you need to know about proteins is they really do everything. The third one, get ahead of myself. The third one that we'll talk about is a lipid. Lipids are fats, and fats can be found in oils, butter. You can find them in like avocado is a big fatty food. Fats basically, they provide a lot of things to the cell. A long-term energy source. No, you need to know that fats and lipids are the same thing, and lipids and fats, they're like the same thing. So long-term energy storage, they also can provide some insulation. They can keep our cell membranes from freezing to death, like freezing all the way solid, things like that. So, and they are made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen only. Okay. And then finally, the fourth one is carbohydrates or sugars. Maybe you know them as sugars. Carbohydrates are a short-term energy storage. They give our body the ability to make some really fast sugar. You may have heard of glucose. It's a very common sugar, and that is one that's used for our body's metabolic energy. So whenever your body needs some energy, often glucose will be what it uses. Those sugars are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen only as well, just like fats, except they occur in a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. So 1 carbon to 2 hydrogens to 1 oxygen in every single sugar. Okay, sugars can be found in things like the cell walls of plants. They can be found in the shells of bugs. We call that chitin, and that's a form of cellulose, or a form of sugar. Anything that ends with ose, O-S-E, would be a sugar. Glucose, sucrose, fructose, maltose, dextrose, any of those oses, those are sugars. Okay, so one little thing I'm going to run through very quickly, and that is the building blocks. What makes them up? Okay, so nucleic acids are made up of little portions called nucleotides, and we will get into exactly what's in a nucleotide here this week. And so that's their building block, nucleotides. So they're like a long chain of nucleotides. We call nucleotide would be the monomer, mono meaning one, where when you put a bunch of nucleotides together, that makes up a polymer, which is poly means many. Okay, so the monomer for nucleic acids is a nucleotide. That's how that works. Okay, the monomer for a protein is something called an amino acid. And amino acids are very interesting. We will also get into that in this coming week, and we'll show you how that works like a long puzzle piece. And the monomer for lipid, there's really not one. We'll say sometimes a fatty acid, but truly lipids aren't really made of repeating units. And so we don't really see a lot of monomers for real. In lipids, we see more like a conglomeration of things. And so on your sheet, you can put that the monomer is fatty acids, but know that it's not a true monomer. Finally, for carbohydrates, the monomer is going to be a monosaccharide or a simple sugar. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. And then, of course, a polysaccharide would be many. So you can have many repeating units of the same monosaccharide to make up a long polysaccharide chain. Okay, you should now have a little table filled out that will give you everything you need to know for your notes. And if you need to refer back to it in the year, then you will have it. I hope that's helpful. Enjoy your day. I'll see you soon.